I get this question a lot. If the lab is toxic, why don't PhDs just speak up? And honestly, I get it. I have been working with PhDs and postdocs for over a decade in academia and leadership roles in the United States, India, and Germany. I have seen this system from inside, I have seen this system from outside. I have navigated it very thoroughly. And many of you over the last 10 years have reached out to me with this exact concern. And here's the thing, if you have ever looked at academia and felt frustrated, helpless, and thought, why don't I speak up for myself? Why don't others in similar situations speak for themselves? Why don't anyone stand up for themselves? This video is for you. So today, I want to break this down factually. We are not going to look at it emotionally, but factually and very straight. And in this video, we will cover mental health in academia, the power imbalance, visa dependency, reputation networks, and yes, narcissism, gaslighting, and even victim blaming. But most importantly, I will show you how to navigate this system strategically so you are not just surviving but actually thriving. Now, let me be very clear. I am not an outsider throwing stones. I am a part of this system. I have been part of this system. I have lived it. Between 2016 and 2026, I have personally saw at least 5 situations where senior, well-connected professors either called or threatened to call hiring faculty about some PhD who spoke up against them. So when I say silence is sometimes strategic, I'm not guessing. I have watched it happen and it's unfortunate. So first thing we should look at is the data. This is not just anecdotal. A 2018 study in Nature Biotechnology found that around 40% of PhD students have moderate to severe anxiety or depression, and this data is from USA. Other surveys from the USA universities says that more than 50% of graduate students report depressive symptoms. And this is not just noise, this is structural. This is structural pressure. And the same data comes from, even worse data come from India with 80% people feeling anxiety, in Australia up to 70%. And here's the thing, high stress does not make people rebel, it makes them cautious. Second, the power play in academia. Let's be honest, your advisor often controls your funding, your projects, your authorship, your graduation timeline, your recommendation letters. And if you are international PhDs or postdocs, sometimes your visa too. That's a lot of concentrated power in the hand of one person, which is your PI. When one person controls your evaluation, your future, confrontation becomes very, very risky. And therefore, the silence is not weakness. Sometimes it becomes a calculated decision to stay silent. Third thing is visa dependency. If you have never been on a visa tied to your job, it will be hard for you to understand this. But those who have been on visas such as F1, J1 or H1B scholars, losing your positions is not just inconvenient, it can mean a 60-day countdown to leave the United States. Sometimes it means legal uncertainty. In another situation, it may mean family disruption and potential forced relocation. When your right to stay in a country depends on your institution, speaking up is not just risky, it becomes existential. Fourth, academia is a very small word. It's very tightly knitted. Think about it. The professors often sit on grand panels, editorial boards, conference committees, hiring committees. And one informal call from a well connected senior professor can quietly shape how others see you. And I have personally seen this multiple times over the last decade. And these kind of calls are not official, these are not in writing, but they do have consequences that are very real. Fifth is psychological cost. Academia trains endurance. When you get rejected, you revise. When you get criticized in the lab meetings, you resubmit your papers, you resubmit your projects. So you tend to compete in extreme situations, and your nervous system stress, adapts to stress. So when toxicity shows up, a lot of people default to endurance. Why? Because endurance got them this far. Sixth is the sunk cost. By year 4 or 5, you have already invested years of your life, money, delayed earnings, your identity. Sometimes you have delayed your marriages. You do not just quit. Behavioral economics call this sunk cost bias. The more you have invested, the harder it is to challenge the system, even if it is hurting you. So many PhDs, what do? They choose completion of their PhD over confrontation of a toxic lab, and it seems very practical. Seventh, narcissism and gaslighting by PI. Most professors are not villains. And I want to say this upfront. This is not against academia or PI. But some leaders have narcissistic traits. They struggle with criticism. They aggressively protect their image. Sometimes that leads to gaslighting. You might have heard some of these words either yourself or through another PhD or postdoc. They will say, that never happened. You are too sensitive. No one else had this issue. Why are you making a big deal out of it? Maybe you are not cut out for research. Then comes the victim blaming. Your productivity is the problem. They'll put it on you. You will say you misunderstood the expectation. There is a misalignment. So when there is a power imbalance, and when that power imbalance meets psychological manipulation, silence becomes even more likely for PhDs and postdocs, because now it is not just fear. That fear turns into self-doubt because of constant gaslighting over years. 8. Faculty pressure. Let's be fair to the tenure track faculty. Professors are under pressure too. They have grant pressure, they have publication pressure, they have tenure pressure, there is administrative workload on them, and output drives the system. Pressure cascades downward. That does not excuse harmful behavior though, but it does explain why intensity is normalized in academia by some PI because of this pressure on them. So what are the practical strategies? Here is the key. We should not be talking in terms of outrage or slogan, but actual real strategy. Strategy 1 is to diversify power sources, build relationship beyond your advisor, committees, collaborators, mentors. These should be your backup plans. Second is document calmly. Document your emails, meeting notes, authorship agreements. Documentation is equal to protection. Number 3, build external visibility. Present, publish, expand your network. The wider your visibility, the lower your vulnerability because you have more options. Number 4, understand your visa options. Know your timelines, grace periods, and alternatives. Preparation reduce fear, and file your NIW or EB1A on time. Do not delay that. Number 5, choose battles strategically. Not every fight is urgent, but ask yourself why. What is my leverage? What is my timeline? What is my exit plan? Because courage without strategy can be a self-sabotage. So you have to be prepared so that you can take more risk. And here is my final thought. Instead of asking why don't PhDs speak up, the real question is, what would make it safe for them to speak? Until letters are less centralized, until visas are less fragile, until hiring is less network oriented, and protection is more enforceable to protect PhDs and postdocs, silence will remain a rational choice. It's not a heroic act, it's not ideal, but it's a rational choice. Change only happens when we change incentives and not judge these PhDs and postdocs for not speaking up. If this resonates with you, please follow along. It's a long journey and I cannot fight the system alone. Please support this channel by subscribing or share this video with someone who needs to hear this, and help who need to hear it the most, the people who are suffering in the moment. Because together we can help millions of PhDs and postdocs thrive instead of just survive. Let's be the change we want to see in academia.